Good morning, veterans, friends, family, neighbors. Thank you for being here today to pause, to remember, and to honor. You know, someone once asked me, what do you think about on Memorial Day? It was a few years ago. I was in Cincinnati sitting in a hotel room with one of my best friends, Tyler. Tyler and I served in the Marine Corps together, and we were in Cincinnati for a fellow Marine's wedding. You know, we were catching up, him being from Texas, me being from Wisconsin. We don't get to see each other often. And we were swapping stories, laughing like we always did. When he stopped and he looked at me and he asked, "How are you so okay?" And that hit me, because the truth was I wasn't. Tyler, man, he had a way of lighting up the room, any room we walked into, and blowing out your eardrums. Being from Texas, he was a country boy, so he loved his country music. But I remember when we were training in 29 Palms, California, at 5 a.m. every morning, he'd wake us up with "Sugar, We're Going Down" by Fall Out Boy. It's like some kind of emotional terrorist with a boombox. That was Tyler. He had jokes for days, but underneath it all, he had depth. He was loyal, and he had your back always. So when he asked me that question, I knew where it was coming from, and I didn't really know how to answer him, because I carry names with me. I carry memories, and some days I carry guilt. So no, I'm not okay, but I've learned to live in a way that honors those that never made it home. That's why I'm here today, to talk about what it means to carry their legacy and live for the ones who can't. You see, I was a senior in high school not too far away in West Dallas, Wisconsin, when the towers fell on September 11, 2001. Like a lot of people my age, there's a lot of fear, a lot of confusion, but ultimately then resolve. Now, I'd already been talking with recruiters because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do after high school. But after that morning, it was no longer a question. It became a calling. By the summer of 2002, I found myself on the yellow footprints of Marine Corps Recruits Depot, San Diego. Yeah, I was a Hollywood Marine. And I was standing shoulder to shoulder with other young men that felt the pull to serve. 6 months later, I found myself in the Kuwait Desert meeting my unit for the first time. 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, before we stepped off for the invasion of Iraq. Now, the history of 1-7 is filled with legends like Chesty Puller and John Baskelo. And well, when I think about the heroes of 1-7, I think about the Marines I stood beside in Iraq. We were young, we were scared, but you better believe we were ready. Some of them made it home, some didn't. And some came home with wounds that no one could see. Their faces, their names, they never really leave you. You don't just serve with them, you carry them every single day. You hear the phrase, never forget a lot on Memorial Day. But for those of us that lived it, we couldn't forget if we tried. During my second deployment back to Iraq, we hit the ground in a city called El Kaim, western portions. And we got a word immediately that we already lost 2 Marines to IEDs, or improvised explosive devices. Many more were wounded. 2 of them were from my company, Major Alan Rowe, Corporal Ian Zook. Now, Major Rowe was what we considered a Mustang. He was a prior enlisted Marine who became an officer. He was a natural leader, the kind of Marine that'd always be up before the sun was up, training. Zook was quieter, a quiet leader, but stepped up when it mattered the most. Then came the sound. The unmistakable sound of Black Hawk helicopters firing up. We always knew what that meant. Wounded inbound. No matter the time of day or night, Marines would line up, gear up, and run to those birds as soon as they landed to carry Marines to the triage tents. That sound, that feeling, it never really leaves you. We lost 12 Marines on that deployment, with many more wounded. Like Corporal Kevin Clark, whose squad was ambushed Took out 3 enemy fighters before he died of wounds. Then came my third deployment back to Iraq. We were living among the locals by then, working with tribal leaders, trying to build something that would last. Jeremy Long killed in action August 10th, 2006. When I finally came home after that third deployment, I thought the losing was over. But it wasn't. I took the uniform off, I washed the dust away, but the war didn't stop. It just got quieter and a lot closer. The truth is, some of the hardest battles aren't fought overseas. We don't really talk about that too much on Memorial Day, but I think we should. Because some of the strongest people I've ever known, they've carried invisible wounds. They have questions that haunt them. Questions like, what if I had done more? Why wasn't it me? What do I do with all this grief? What do I do with all this guilt? I know those questions because I've asked them too. And so did my friend Tyler. Not long after that conversation in Cincinnati did Tyler become one of the 22. One of the 22 veterans that takes their lives every day. Another Marine lost, not in combat, but in the fight after. I spoke at Tyler's funeral this past December. I spoke to his family. I spoke to his friends. I spoke to his 3 little kids sitting in the front row. Tyler and I used to text and call each other just to check in. Now I have to text his younger sister to make sure she's doing okay, because he's not here to answer anymore. That's the cost. That's what Memorial Day means to me. And to those of you who are still fighting silent battles, listen to me. You're not weak. You're not broken. And you're not alone. You've carried burdens that no one can see. You've fought battles that no one thanks you for. And still you're here. That matters. And I get it. Some days just getting out of bed, that's a victory. But your story isn't over. There's more love, there's more purpose, and there's more life. You are not forgotten. You are seen. You are needed. That's why I say carry their legacy and live for the ones who can. So today I'm not just asking you to remember the fallen. I'm asking you to do something with that memory. Tell a story. Say a name. Live with purpose. People often say thank you for your service, but the real thanks is how we live with the freedom that they gave us. So live in a way that honors them. Live with courage. Live with compassion. Live like someone's counting on you, because they are. So to the families who've lost, your loved ones are not forgotten. To those still struggling, you matter. And to the ones we've lost on the battlefield, and like Tyler here at home, we carry you always. Thank you. God bless.